on Prime Crime.
You didn't have anything to do with her disappearance?
No, sir.
You didn't cause any harm to Joleen?
No, sir.
None whatsoever?
None whatsoever.
A beloved mother suddenly disappears.
Obviously, you are a person of interest. I understand.
And detectives find themselves entangled in a labyrinth of suspects.
I already knew that something had happened. Joleen would not miss a day with her children, let alone a holiday at my house.
As the lines between friend and foe begin to blur, can the truth emerge from the chaos of conflicting stories?
The video was sufficient enough quality that I could actually see her face clearly. What I saw really kind of made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Hey there, everybody, I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime, where we break down some of the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. What begins as a missing persons case quickly spirals into a mystery with more twists and turns than anyone could imagine. A young Florida mother who works as a hairstylist vanishes without a trace, leading investigators down a path of bewildering clues and hidden secrets.
I knew that on the 12th that Joleen was working, so I said, I'll see you the next day. Then came Sunday morning, which was Joleen's birthday and Mother's Day. And so her daughter, who was 10 years old then, texted her and she didn't get a reply. And I told her, you know, your mom is probably still sleeping. Let's wait a while before we try to call her again. And I just had this sinking feeling.
May 13th, 2018, Fernandina Beach, Florida. Ann Johnson realizes she hasn't seen or heard from her daughter, 34-year-old Joleen Cummings, in a couple of days.
That evening, Joleen's husband, they were going through a divorce at the time, were supposed to meet at the Winn-Dixie parking lot. That was the drop-off for the kids. When Jason pulled the driveway, and he still had the boys, and he got out and he said, Joleen didn't show up. And my heart just went to my stomach because something's wrong, something's really wrong. My husband, he was a director within the sheriff's office. I sent him over to check on Joleen at her trailer.
But neither Joleen nor her SUV were there, something that didn't sit right with Ann.
I said, I think I should report her missing tonight. And he says, no, just wait. Then came about 8 o'clock Monday morning, I called the sheriff's office and I reported my daughter missing.
It was May 14th, 2018. I got to work that morning. I was immediately told that we had a missing persons case, and it was someone whose relatives actually had worked at the sheriff's office, which was kind of important because I knew that I had to really get started on it right away because I knew the family and I knew that it was possibly something serious.
Joleen can be described as adventurous, very artistic, driven, intelligent, creative. She had the wittiest personality and she liked the worst foods, the weirdest foods. She did not get that from me. Joleen started out working in the restaurant business as a server. I'd asked her what her passion was and she said a hairdresser. After she graduated, she immediately went into hairdressing. She loved it. She wanted to have her own shop one day. Joleen was always working. When she wasn't working, she was taking care of the kids.
She was a beloved hairstylist. She had a really large clientele, so a lot of people cared about her. Why would this beautiful mother of three be missing? Where is she? Why wouldn't she pick up her kids? She loved her kids. It was very unlike her, and it drew a lot of concern from the community right away.
What could have happened to this young mom of three on the cusp of a budding career? Detectives first need to speak with those closest to Joleen, including her soon-to-be ex-husband, Jason Cummings.
When's the last time that you saw Joleen?
It wasn't this past Sunday, it was the Sunday prior. I haven't talked to her through the week in a couple of weeks, actually. We got in an argument about, she wanted me to drop the kids off at her mom's one evening. When Judge Foster put this injunction on, she's supposed to meet with me. I'm not supposed to take them nowhere else. And she kind of got mad.
He was very forthcoming during the interview. He admitted that he and Joleen were going through a divorce and that, he was not very happy with her. but he denied any involvement in her disappearance.
I kind of sent her some text messages, just not threatening. I was like, look, you need to get it together. You need to stop being a junkie. You got kids raised. She used them text messages to put an injunction on me. This right here is the reason why I left her, because she would disappear for a few days.
He did agree to allow me to search his cellular phone. He also agreed to let our crime scene unit analyze his vehicle. It didn't appear to have been recently cleaned, like he was trying to clean up any type of evidence.
You use the word junkie and you're talking about drugs. Are you saying she has some kind of drug habit?
I don't know per se that she does,
Okay.
but I know the crowd she was hanging out with is known for being idiots. She got out of jail 2016 September for DUI. About a month after she got out is when she started doing her little Houdini acts. And I thought she was just seeing somebody else.
He stated he had no idea where she could be. He stated possibly she had just run off for a weekend or something. Her mother reported it was very unusual that even if she decided to maybe go somewhere, she always picked up the phone.
Obviously, you are a person of interest. Anytime that somebody goes missing,
I understand.
is there somewhere you were at, somebody you were with, that we can go back and verify where you were at?
So Saturday morning, my granny cooked us waffles. Ate breakfast, sat down and relaxed for a little bit. When we went outside, they were other four-wheelers. Got a hold of my buddy named Chris. Me and him, I went over to his girlfriend's house for about 3 hours. And I went home between 3 or 4.
And where did you go with that when you left there?
Straight to my granny's.
He was able to provide his whereabouts for the entire weekend. Obviously, after speaking to him, he wasn't eliminated as a suspect.
As the investigation moves forward, Joleen's disappearance garners widespread attention.
From the get-go, this seemed unusual. The sheriff's office sent us alert saying that a mother of 3 was missing. He immediately left and went to the Tangles Hair Salon, where she was last seen. The first person we see is the owner of the Tangles Hair Salon. He says they just don't know where she is. He seemed really worried.
There was a time when we were getting hundreds of tips per day. Some of them were bizarre, but they were all coming from the right place. We had to look at them all. Every detective in the agency was assigned tips to follow up.
Anytime you're working a case involving a missing person, you have to backtrack, essentially, investigate the areas where they frequent. Remember, you're on the clock here with a missing person.
A lead quickly emerges.
Joleen was dating a new guy whose name was Jason G. And when I started looking into him, he had had several previous run-ins with law enforcement.
As the police delved further and further into the investigation, they did conclude that Joleen and her boyfriend had both had a rather violent confrontation in the home just days before her disappearance.
The first thing I noticed was that the back door was secured. I didn't notice any signs of any type of forced entry. Once I got inside Joleen's home, I noticed that the residence was kind of in some disarray. There were some cabinets that were just kind of hanging by one hinge. I noticed some holes in the wall.
I already knew about the cabinets because Joleen called me when that happened. She had asked him to leave and he got very belligerent and started, hitting the cabinets, kicking the door, because she had locked herself and her boys in the room.
We found out that deputies were looking for Jason G. They wanted to talk to him. They couldn't get a hold of him. I remember I called his phone number and he answered the phone, and as soon as I said who I was, he hung up on me.
The search is now on for Joleen's boyfriend, Jason G., a man with a criminal past known to law enforcement. Coming up, does he have any answers as to where Joleen could be?
I don't know where she's at, man. I care about her. I mean, she is one of the main things in my life that makes me even want to be here. The reason I was I got a warrant for violation of probation. I didn't want to come to jail. I didn't have nothing to do with Joleen.
Police are investigating the disappearance of 34-year-old Joleen Cummings. The young mother of 3 never showed up to pick up her kids from her soon-to-be ex-husband on her birthday. Detectives have now set their sights on Jason G., following the discovery of a domestic dispute at her house days before she went missing.
Jason G. actually had a current arrest warrant, a felony warrant for violation of probation. We knew his previous address, we knew where some of his family and friends lived, so it was kind of all hands on deck to try to find and locate him, and he was being very evasive, trying to hide from law enforcement.
Immediately, everybody thought the ex-boyfriend had something to do with this. Maybe this was domestic type situation, maybe something with her home life.
We eventually got a search warrant to actually get cell tower locations for Jason's phone. It appeared that he was probably turning his phone on and off. I think he knew that we could track him via cell phone. We eventually did locate him at a relative's house. He was located in a bedroom, hiding underneath a pile of cardboard boxes.
You're here on a probation violation. I want to talk to you about something else. Have you heard that Joleen is missing?
Yeah, I wish I could help her in any way. Last time I seen her was the night we got in an argument. Last time I talked to her was, I looked on my text, 3:57 on Saturday, that's what.
The primary focus initially was on Joleen's boyfriend, because let's just understand, he is going to have access and opportunity relative to her.
I noticed there were some scratches on his hands and arms.
Do me a favor, let me hold your hands up like this. Okay. Flip them for me. You got some scratches on your wrist and everything. Tell me about those.
Dog, we had a dog I played with at the house, that's it.
He gave an explanation for that and said it didn't have anything to do with Joleen, that he had got scratched by a dog.
Do you mind if I take a look at your chest and back, make sure you don't have much claw marks or anything?
No. Okay. I got one on there from the damn branches that my dad that happened like a week ago. Coming through the driveway, there's a bunch of bushes.
It was obvious that he's not a friend of law enforcement, but he was cooperative. He did provide his location for the weekend that Joleen went missing. The other thing that really concerned me was the fact that when he was taken into custody, he did not have his cellular phone with him. Even if somebody's on the run and they're turning their phone on and off, he was still using it occasionally.
Do you still have the messages in your phone from?
I don't have a phone, but yeah, I'm sure you can get it to the phone company. But yeah, the messages.
Where's your phone at?
I couldn't tell you what the past couple of days. I don't even have it.
You said you talked to a news person yesterday?
Yeah, a lady called from the phone news station, called my phone.
Did you tell her something, or did you?
No, there's nothing to tell her. They're making it out to be a lot. It's not, because I had nothing to do with this.
I haven't accused you of anything. I want your help in finding Joleen.
If I could help you, man, I would.
There's all kinds of suspicions that go through your mind. Did I think either Jasons were involved? No, definitely not. In law enforcement, I know that they talk to everybody, and of course, you're automatically a suspect, you know, if you're the husband, the boyfriend.
As police keep Jason G on their radar, they realize a big piece of this mysterious puzzle is also missing: Joleen's car.
One of the central pieces to an investigation is to try to determine where their vehicle is, and if you can find out where their vehicle is, logic would dictate that they might be there as well.
The day after the missing persons flyer was released to the local news media, I got a call at my desk from a local gentleman who thought he had seen the vehicle in a Home Depot parking lot only a few miles away from the Tangles Hair Salon. We were able to verify that it was Joleen's vehicle parked there. Unfortunately, Home Depot surveillance did not capture anybody parking or leaving the vehicle there, and it just seemed to be kind of a dead end. We canvassed the area, we looked in drains, we looked in dumpsters, we looked in flower beds, we looked everywhere. I had detectives start searching for any surveillance cameras in the area. We eventually did find a credit union, and there was a couple of cameras out near the ATM.
What police wanted to know is, did Joleen pull in her vehicle and leave it there and leave with somebody else. When they began to review the tape, it's not what they saw at all.
It was a little after 1 a.m. on the 12th, on the last day that she worked. There were some trees and bushes that kind of obscured it a little bit, but what you could tell was that there was only one person that exited the vehicle. The person was dressed in all black.
The realization didn't come until I saw Joleen's vehicle on camera. How no one saw that is beyond me. And when I saw her get out of the vehicle, there it is. Last person to see Joleen. There it is.
She walked into the gas station. She purchased a bottle of water. She engaged the clerk. The video was sufficient enough quality that I could actually see her face clearly. What I saw really kind of made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I could see that she had significant injuries to her face. The figure dressed in all black was Jennifer Seibert. I started thinking I may not be working a missing persons case, I may be working a homicide case.
The investigation begins to ramp up, but who exactly is this new person of interest?
I'm gonna find out where those little boys' mama is. I promise you I'm gonna do that. You can help me do that. And you're the one that can make it happen right now.
No, I cannot.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for following this story with us. We're going to get right back to it in a minute. But look, one of the reasons that we're able to bring you these kinds of cases to shine a light on what's going on in the world is because of the incredible support that we get from our sponsors, like our proud partner, Morgan & Morgan. Look, if you should get injured, America's largest injury law firm may be who you want in your corner. They have an army of over 1,000 attorneys. They have an amazing track record, like recent verdicts of $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philadelphia. These, by the way, are higher than the highest insurance offers in these cases. There's no upfront fee. They only get paid if you get paid. The whole process can be done right from your smartphone. It is so simple. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/primecrime.
Did an accident happen between y'all?
I think Jolene's dead, and I think you know where Joleen is.
May 2018. The case of a missing young mother of 3 is baffling to Nassau County detectives, as there's been no sign of 34-year-old Joleen Cummings in days. But they learn Joleen was working with another stylist the day she disappeared, 50-year-old Jennifer Seibert.
On the first day that Joleen was reported missing, I tried to call her. I did not get an answer. The next morning, I got a phone call from Jennifer Seibert. Before I could even go into trying to explain anything about Joleen being missing, Miss Seibert went into a very long, just rambling explanation about how she could not be involved in a police investigation. She stated that she had an ex who was a stalker. She actually contacted the owner and said, I cannot be involved in a police investigation. I quit. I'll mail you my key to the salon.
The police, as anyone can imagine, are very interested in talking to Joleen's coworker, Jennifer. They're going to charge her with grand theft.
We found some camera footage that showed Joleen's vehicle being parked around 1:17 a.m. Sunday morning. The video showed the driver get out. We were hoping to see Joleen get out of that vehicle, but who do you think it was? Jennifer Seibert, the Tangles Hairstylist, who was supposedly the last person to see Joleen.
They find her sleeping in her car at a truck stop in St. Johns County.
One of our detectives was at a rest area. She observed Miss Seibert's vehicle parked between 2 semis. She had makeup just pancaked on. It was very, very thick. She had multiple Band-Aids on her face.
Jennifer Seibert is arrested for grand theft auto, and with her now in custody, officials unveil a somber finding of their investigation.
Through our investigation, we have obtained evidence which leads us to believe Joleen is not alive.
People think this can never happen to them. Don't waste another day or another minute without saying, I love you. I wish I would have hugged her harder. I wish I would have told her every day how beautiful she was, how intelligent, how proud I was of her. Just don't wait. Wait.
Detectives hope they can get to the truth about Joleen's disappearance, but talking with Seibert opens Pandora's box.
Those hurting you?
No, they feel great. You can put them on tighter if you want. Whatever you want to do. I'm at your mercy, so have as much fun as you'd like.
They had asked her if she was comfortable if the cuffs were too tight. Her answer was, oh no, they're not too tight. I like it. For somebody who's been arrested for a felony and who is a suspect in a possible homicide, it was just very, very candid, bizarre behavior.
Just off-the-wall statements. Did the police for a moment think about who they were dealing with? Did they think that, wow, this is not what you would consider a normal response by somebody? She knows good and well that they're looking for Joleen.
Once Seibert is booked, photographed, and examined for any potential evidence, she makes a shocking confession.
When you run my fingerprints through, they come up as Kimberly Lee Kessler. I am 50 years old. I've been running from the FBI for over 25 years. I've been living under this particular alias since 1999.
As it turns out, Jennifer ain't Jennifer. This person is actually operating under an assumed name and had been working with Joleen at the hair salon. I'm sure that the police had no idea what to think about this.
She was a missing person herself. She disappeared in 2004 in Pennsylvania. She would steal names off of dead people's graves and take on their identities.
I've been living in my car for the last over 2 years. It's not getting any better.
I kind of like to hear the background of why, for the last 25 years.
Pull it all up. Pull it up on the computer. Pull my name up. Pull it up. Kimberly Kessler.
And
you should be able to pull that up.
What I'll do
It'll
is
be fascinating.
She loved to talk about herself. She was proud that she had been pursued by the FBI for 25 years and that they had failed to catch her, that she had lived under numerous different aliases. She stated she even had a child under an alias. She was married under an alias. She attended college under an alias. She had a passport under her alias.
You have any children?
I do. I have a son. He is in North Carolina with his father. In 1999, Child Protective Services snatched him while I was at work, and that really sent me over the edge. So I haven't seen him since he was 14 months old. I was under the name Christina Brooke at the time. Yeah, the names go on, don't they? As I mentioned, I'm wanted in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Arizona.
She's got at least 15 different aliases. She's got up to 5 driver's licenses from all over the country where she's used these aliases to kind of change, almost like a chameleon.
That's one of my first relationships in Arizona. He robbed banks.
Where's your favorite place at? Obviously, you travel around a lot.
I don't know. See, I was always looking for that heaven on earth, but there is no heaven on earth.
They found text messages and conversations that Joleen had with some people that she was suspicious about Kimberly Kessler and her behavior. She said that she was crazy and she wanted to look up her background.
I had no idea that Joleen was complaining about her, but she told Miss Anna that, hey, look, there's something wrong with her. She is not who she says she is. And knowing my daughter, I guarantee that she was researching her.
What's the next chapter for you?
I don't even know. I am so grateful my son is alive and well.
You plan on trying to reconcile with Evan?
That's my baby. That's my son.
You need to go see him.
Well, now I'm like, okay, I'm on the map again. I'm on the grid. Hi. I'm not going to do it discreetly as, Jennifer or whatever.
Children and Family Services had taken her child away from her, and she actually went to Children and Family Services with a gun and duct tape and all these different things in an attempt to get her child back. That's why she believed that the FBI was after her. Come to find out, she was not being hunted by the FBI.
Speaking of on the map, do you know why you're here?
Yes, I'm being accused. You accused me the other night of, you're like, where's Joleen at? So, and I do not know where she is.
Can we just go through when you worked with her on that Saturday so is there anything you can tell me did she ever talk to you about a boyfriend? Did she ever talk about anybody she was scared of? Did she ever say anything that she wanted to run away and get away from it all?
I don't remember hearing anything.
During my interview, she would have sit there and bragged on herself all day, but the minute the subject turned to Joleen's disappearance, she knew enough to go, okay, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Did you guys ever hang out after work? Did you ever go anywhere together? Was she ever allowed to use your car? You allowed to use her car? Did you ever go anywhere together like that?
No.
The charge you were arrested on is a grand theft auto charge. You knew that, correct?
Yes.
There's video of you dropping her car off at the Home Depot parking lot. Something happened to Joleen. We've got the video of you when you go in and buy the bottle of water. We also have recovered your shoes that has Joleen's blood on your shoes. If something happened that you didn't intend to happen, I want to talk to you about it.
So let me reply this way, and you may not like the answer. I would like legal counsel.
But even without any new information from Kessler, the evidence in the disappearance and presumed murder of Joleen Cummings is mounting.
We served a search warrant on a vehicle. In that vehicle, we found a credit card that was used to purchase the bottle of water that she purchased when she was at the Gate gas station. We were able to determine that she charged the cab ride from the Gate gas station back to the Tangles Hair Salon where her vehicle was at to that credit card. But probably the most damning piece of evidence that we found in that car was we found her haircutting kit. There was a pair of scissors in there. They looked pretty normal, but if you look really, really closely, there was a dark colored substance. We had that analyzed, and it was Joleen's blood.
One more piece of evidence reveals Kimberly Kessler's likely involvement.
When police finally got a search warrant for her storage unit, all of their worst fears were realized. Police were able to eventually find a receipt, and the receipt actually ties back to a local Walmart.
A few hours after the salon closed on the 12th of May, she had went to a Walmart in Fernandina Beach. She purchased elbow-length gloves, ammonia, bleach, but she also purchased a large electric carving knife. It wasn't Thanksgiving. What does a person that lives out of their car need with a large electric carving knife and elbow-length gloves? I had a detective that was just gonna go to Tangles Hair Salon because now it was Tuesday, they were reopened. We didn't suspect that there was any kind of crime scene or anything there. It was just part of a normal missing person investigation to go there.
What police find inside the hair salon confirms their suspicions.
They immediately found evidence that this was a crime scene.
What they found was horrible. There was extensive blood deposition throughout, and they were able to do DNA profiling. Now, it was obviously Joleen's blood, but they found other blood as well. Something had occurred where a cleanup had been attempted, and of course, everything points back to Kessler.
When I saw that video surveillance, I said, she dismembered Joleen. She killed her in that salon, and then she put her in garbage bags and threw her in the dumpster.
Kimberly Kessler is officially charged for the first-degree murder of Joleen Cummings.
Relieved. I knew she didn't just steal my daughter's vehicle. My daughter didn't lend her that vehicle. She was the suspect all along. And to finally hear an arrest, okay, we got you now.
We were able to determine that Kimberly Kessler was actually a real person that had been missing from Butler, Pennsylvania for over 20 years. We knew we had to start tracking down some of the, not just the names and information that she had given us, but any other names and aliases that she had possibly lived under.
But the intrigue of this investigation doesn't end there.
After police found her and they started to reveal a little bit more about who she is, it was shocking. I did not expect it would be something like this.
By the way, did you see what we did before? We used Truthfinder to look up Kessler, and it's so easy to do because you can plug in a name, location, you get all these details where someone lives, works, their criminal history. Truthfinder has been really useful for us here at Law&Crime. We partner with them, but look, even if you don't work in true crime, it can be an excellent resource for you. I mean, it's one of the largest public records search services in the United States, and with a paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And by the way, that includes looking up registered sex offenders in an area too. And right now, if you're interested, you can get 50% off of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/LCPrimeCrime.
I saw something about stabbing you in the leg. Can you tell me about that?
No, she stabbed me in the chest. She bit my dad in the leg.
As detectives gather additional evidence ahead of Jennifer Seibert, aka Kimberly Kessler's trial for the murder of Joleen Cummings, they dig deeper into her past and discover a trove of more secrets.
I went to high school with her whenever they got out of high school. I think her and her brother were living together. She ended up getting pissed off at him, and she said, "I'll get even with you," and she waited for him to fall asleep, and she hit him over the mouth with a baseball bat, and basically just blew all his teeth right out.
We would find people back from her childhood and interview them, and they would tell us some really scary things that she would do when she was younger.
She was like literally smoking hot back in the day, and I just think people just sense like she could go off the wall at any minute.
We were able to determine that she had a very violent background. We spoke to people who knew her under the different aliases. She had a ex-boyfriend that said that after he broke up with her, she took the pet cat and killed it, and called him and told him that she had killed the cat.
She did some other violent things to some of her exes in her past, or was accused of that. She also couldn't see her son. A lot of weird things we were just unraveling over time.
How did you know Kimberly Kessler?
She was here behind me in school, and then we dated and lived together for a while.
I saw something about stabbing you in the leg. Can you tell me about that?
She tried to file a PFA against me. The state police kind of laughed at her. They took me out of there and said, "We got to get you away from her." My dad would throw her off the property, and she went after him, and she bit into his leg. Put one hell of a mark on his leg.
The name that she was living under when we first had contact with her, Jennifer Seibert, was actually someone from her hometown. It was buried in her hometown of Butler, Pennsylvania. She was a young girl, was about 14 years old, that died in an auto accident.
You were married to a Melissa McKernan, is that right?
That was.
I heard something about she had stabbed you with some scissors. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, she was crazy. I can tell you that.
Where did she stab you at?
Right my armpit, my pectoral muscle.
We have her in our jail right now. She is our prime suspect for a girl that's missing. We've been in the landfill searching.
Remember, Kessler is actually seen placing trash bags in the dumpster. Now, what do we know about dumpsters? Well, dumpsters are picked up by sanitation workers. They wind up going to a landfill. And even though the investigators put forth quite an effort to try to recover Joleen's remains, they had no success. And unfortunately, that very well might be Joleen's last resting spot.
While justice for Joleen may seem close, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the path towards Kessler's trial is anything but smooth sailing.
The journey to the trial was a mess. There was a lot of back and forth on Kimberly Kessler's mental competency. Could she stand trial? Could she not stand trial? At one point, they did determine that she was incompetent, so they sent her to a mental health hospital.
She was there for a few weeks and had another evaluation, and she was deemed fit to stand trial. She's not crazy, she's cunning, she's smart. Her behavior in court was planned.
They sent her back to the county jail. She didn't like that, so she went on a 56-day hunger strike. This woman, who was initially close to 200 pounds, she dropped down to 74 pounds. So The sheriff's office, they have to do everything to keep her alive. And every time she would have a court hearing on Zoom, she'd be throwing her feces at the deputies in the jail. She would be disruptive. She would scream.
More than 3 years after Joleen Cummings' murder, Kimberly Kessler is finally set to go on trial. However, her antics continue.
Jordan Beard is Joleen's cousin. Jordan Beard is Joleen's cousin. Jordan Beard is Joleen's cousin.
Every single hearing before the trial, and then at the beginning of every morning during the trial, she'd start the day off screaming the same thing. Jordan Beard is Joleen Cummings' cousin. But we learned that's not true. He's not her cousin. And that was her defense attorney. So she was just trying to find a way out of it.
I refuse the public defender's office. They appointed Jordan Beard, Joleen Cummings' cousin, as my public defender. They appointed Joleen Cummings' cousin as my public defender. What, you don't want the public to know that? You don't want them to know?
Proceedings get underway in December 2021, with Kessler watching from another room.
On Saturday, May 12, 2018, Joleen Cummings was a devoted mother of 3 young children. Joleen was looking forward to Sunday, May 13th. It was her birthday and it was Mother's Day. But as Joleen Cummings made plans for the next day of her life, the defendant had planned Joleen's death.
Before taking the jury through the forensic evidence, prosecutor Donna Thurston gives them a peek into the twisted mind of Kimberly Kessler.
2 weeks before the murder, on April 30th, 2018, the defendant searched the internet for such things as co-worker guilty of murder, missing person body not found.
She wasn't a concerned co-worker searching for updates on the case. She was a murderer on the run.
Her internet searches became a big key of evidence because they were shocking. She would search missing body not found, how to hide a body, stuff about Satan, really bizarre things. I think 400 times she had searched her own name. She was looking up stories about this case and about how she was considered a suspect.
The only thing required for premeditation is that decision, that consideration, that determination that I am going to do this. Kimberly Kessler considered what she was going to do. She committed to that plan, and then she concealed it, thinking she could get away with it. Kimberly Kessler, Jennifer Seibert, whatever her name is, she did this. She is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
The defense doesn't really argue with some facts.
Physical evidence in this case that you're going to see is going to convince you very clearly that the only thing the state can prove in this case is that there was some sort of fight, some violent physical altercation that clearly happened.
Instead, they claim that the state doesn't have enough evidence to prove their case.
What the state cannot show is who started the fight, how that fight started, where it occurred, how it ended. Who was the aggressor in this fight? Who was defending himself? Can the state prove that Joleen Cummings is in fact dead?
Their main argument was that it was some type of self-defense, that at some point in time Joleen attacked Kimberly Kessler.
Both of their blood was found in that shot. The photos that you'll see of Ms. Kessler, we suggest, show that she acted defensively, or at least there was a fight. A gouge mark in her finger. These photographs that you're seeing are defensive wounds.
The defense also seems to suggest that Joleen, the victim, had a drug problem, which led to a fight that day at the salon.
It was just maybe trying to put a little doubt in the jury's mind and maybe paint Joleen as a bad person. But during a search of Joleen's vehicle, there was a small amount of dope found in her vehicle. And I don't know if they were just trying to paint Joleen in a bad light, make it look like she was a bad person that might have attacked Kimberly Kessler. But to me, that little bit of dope that was found in her vehicle, it didn't prove anything and it was irrelevant.
Kimberly Kessler she stood to gain nothing. There's no financial gain. She's not getting a life insurance policy. The state cannot prove Ms. Kessler guilty of first-degree premeditated murder with a weapon. You do not have proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
The case is handed off to the jury as Kessler's future hangs in the balance.
She screamed at the beginning of every day throughout the entire trial, but when it came time for the verdict, she was quiet. She didn't say anything at all.
Verdict count 1, first-degree murder. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict count 1, grand theft auto. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of theft as charged in the information.
Following just over an hour of deliberations, the jury comes back with their verdict.
It didn't take that long for the jury to hand down the guilty. Not just the guilty, premeditated first-degree murder. Slam, we got her. So it was both very emotional, sad, but yet content. We had a conviction.
It was bittersweet because, we still haven't found Joleen. I believe the motive was that Joleen had determined that Jennifer Seibert was not who she said she was. The day before she was murdered, she had called Jennifer Seibert out. She says, "You're a fake." She was gonna try to find out who she really was.
She messed with the wrong daughter because ultimately Joleen was the hero. She may portray herself as victorious and like, oh, she committed the most heinous crime and that's gonna give her popularity. Wrong. Joleen is the one. Being in law enforcement, we're diggers. We're relentless, especially when it's one of our own. And she messed with the wrong county, wrong sheriff, wrong county.
This court will adjudicate Kimberly Kessler, the defendant, also known as Jennifer Marie Seibert, guilty, sentence her to life in prison without any possibility of release or parole.
On May 12, 2018, our lives as we knew it has been changed forever. On this day, Kimberly Kessler made the conscious decision to brutally murder Joleen. Joleen fought for her life. When my precious daughter was murdered, part of us died.
Hearing from her family members was gut-wrenching, just knowing that they'll never get to see her again.
We are still waiting for Joleen to walk through that door. Joleen's never coming home. Joleen's God, give it to me on Mother's Day. My precious gift was viciously taken from me. This is my daughter, Joleen Cummings.
Her mother, her plea to Kessler has always been, you're a mom too. Please tell her where her daughter is. She just wants that peace of knowing where she is.
It was probably the most bizarre one of my career. I've worked lots of homicide cases. There was so many twists and turns of this case that if you'd asked me on day one that it was a coworker that killed her, that was the last thing on my mind.
Kessler continues to fight her conviction. In July of 2024, she submitted a 224-page handwritten motion for a new trial, but that has since been denied.
I think God protects me because Joleen could be anywhere. So will Joleen's remains ever be found? It's up to God. The most important thing, I know where her soul is at. Her son, who is 10 years old now, he had asked me, he says, "Emma, why do we have a headstone when Mom's not there?" I said, well, even people who have died, they're not really there. I said, that's just a shell. They're in heaven. And that's where you're going to be able to see your mom again. Joleen was the best president I've ever had or ever will receive. She was so endearing, so strong, so tenacious. She loved her kids more than anything else in the world. And there's a saying that a mother's love knows no bounds. That's the definition of Joleen.
Though closure for Joleen's family may never be fully realized, they have hope that one day they will be reunited. But until that day comes, Joleen's memory remains a guiding light of strength for her children, her mother Anne, and everyone she left an imprint on. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always, stay safe.